verse 46. Such is referred to as Sabiha Samadhi, meaning not entirely condition-free state of enlightenment, for it still carries memory seeds or bija that can sprout any time, giving rise to other subtle or gross conditions and affecting one's meditation or meditative state. This is related to the previous verse which we discussed last week. The previous verse 45 is, indeed such subtle memory of past events and conditions, although alinga or unmanifest, must also be overcome and brought to an end. Here is a man who is telling you a spade is a spade. He is not giving you any false hope. Enlightenment is not easy. It's not instant. It happens in an instant, but you have to work for it. So if somebody is giving you a program and at the end of it he announces that you are enlightened, no. Patanjali, who systematized this entire system of yoga more than 2000 years ago, some say 4000, but he only systematized it. He did not invent it, and he was very clear about it. I am just putting it into a system. He says that even when you are enlightened already, and enlightenment to Patanjali is not a full stop, it's a process. It's an ongoing process. Even when you have achieved, attained to enlightenment, there are certain seeds of memories which can sprout any time. And that kind of enlightenment is not full enlightenment. It is called sabija. Still there are seeds. We have been used to certain kind of conditions. We have so many memories. All those memories, they are waiting to sprout. If the conditions outside are all right, they can sprout any time. I was given an example. Even if you have left alcohol, you have left drugs, you have left certain habits, if you come back, if you enter into a similar situation again, you have a similar company again, the same habits can come back. So Patanjali is very clear. Even if you are already enlightenment, don't take it for granted. Things can still go wrong. 47. By attending and skillfully maintaining nirvichar samapati, or the condition-free state of unity, the true spiritual soul consciousness arises. When there is an end, so even though outside there are triggers, someone is smoking, you are not attracted to it. You are not tempted to smoke. Somebody is doing anything that you have stopped, you will not be tempted to do it anymore. That is called samapati, the end of all conditionings. 48. In the state of nirvichar samapati, nirvichar is without any thoughts, without any conditions again. In the state of nirvichar samapati, one's prajna, wisdom or intelligence or higher knowingness, is filled with rhythm or righteousness. In other words, having attained to such state, one's actions becomes righteous. This is where yoga differs from so many belief systems. Belief systems, they give you do's and don'ts. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. And then they define for you. If you don't do this, you are righteous. If you do this, you are righteous. If you do what you are not supposed to do, you are unrighteous. Patanjali says your core problem, the first step in enlightenment, is to realize that the problem is not outside, the problem is within. And it's not even the mind that is problematic. It is the seed, the core of the mind that he calls chitta, not subconscious. Chitta is not subconscious. It's always translated as subconscious. Chitta is something from which the mind is sprouting. So it is the seed of the mind. You have to stop it at that seed level, at that core level. This is the first step in enlightenment. So Patanjali says that when you have a proper knowingness, not knowledge, this is knowledge. I am sharing with you my knowledge and you are getting part of it, okay, whatever you understand from what I am sharing. This is not what Patanjali is talking about. He did say cognitive is important. You have to understand what it is about. But later on, you cannot be a yogi just by reading this book. Reading this book is all right, is good to understand what is it about. It is not about standing on your head. Yoga is not that. Those are asanas. We'll discuss that later on. Yoga is not all that. Yoga is about putting an end to the modifications of your mind. Mind core, the chitta, is at rest. And in that, what you need is intelligence, knowingness, not just knowledge. Knowingness means when I am talking to you, I am telling you this, you start to digest it, process it. Don't take it just like that because I am telling you, I am not a scripture. In the yoga philosophy, scriptures are not important. It is your personal experience that is important. Scriptures are just pointers. They are telling you what to expect. When you came to Bali, you may have bought a guidebook, Lonely Planet, or you may have browsed through the web to find out what are there in Bali. But that information is not sufficient. You have to come here and you have to see for yourself. And the information given there is not complete. It's from somebody's perception. Your perception could be different altogether. So yoga, Patanjali is telling you, it is your knowingness. Knowingness is a coined word. I coined it because there is no such word in English. It is your knowledge based on experience. Not just knowledge, but knowledge based on personal experience. That is knowingness. So he says, in the state of nirvichar samapati, one's prajna or pragya or prajna, there are so many different ways of pronouncing it. Wisdom, intelligence or higher consciousness is filled with rhythm or righteousness. When you have attained to this, then automatically you will be behaving righteously. You don't need a table, what to do, what not to do. You become righteous. Why he is so confident? Because the nature all around us is righteous. Whatever you do to the tree is not getting angry at you. It gives you shade. It gives you fruits. It's ever giving. We seldom give. We want to take, we want to receive. And now even the scientists are telling you, the physiologists are telling you that it is when you give that you are really happy, not when you receive. There are certain parts of your brain which come to activation, which are activated when you give, and that makes you happy. So when you see the nature all around you, they are all giving you. And we are taking without reciprocating. This is not righteous. Righteousness is natural as the nature itself. You don't have to pray to the sun to rise tomorrow morning. It rises. You may or may not consider the sun as a deity. For the Hindus, all these forms of nature are to be adored, are to be worshipped. The trees are to be worshipped. The stones are to be worshipped. The sun and the moon and the stars, everything has to be worshipped. So we are supposed to be, for a yogi, he is supposed to be in a worshipful mode at all times. When you are in a worshipful mode, then you become righteous. My master used to say, devotion is not a uniform to be worn on certain days. You know, you go to temple every Sunday and then you become very religious. Monday, what Monday? The moment you get out from the temple, you forget everything. So you kind of cover yourself with a religious garb, with a religious uniform when you are in the temple. When I say temple, it can be temple from any faith, any belief system. Out from the temple, we are same. There is a beautiful story my master used to tell us. There was a guy, he went to a school for theology. And when you go to a school for theology, they tell you, they teach you how to speak. When you are talking about heaven, you have to be so soft, heaven, God, When you are talking about God, about religion, you have to be so soft, full of love, full of compassion. And there was a student, he said, "Sir, what if I have to talk about hell? You have told us how to talk about heaven, in what tone? When I have to talk about hell," he said, "My son, you don't have to pretend anything. Just speak as you want to speak. That will be hellish anyway." So, our natural speech is hellish already. When we want to speak about heaven, we have to make it up. We have to pretend. We have to pretend. This is not about pretension, not about pretending, about becoming righteous automatically. Once you know that you are connected with the entire existence, you cannot harm anyone. At the same time, you will also be in the self-defense mode. We'll be talking about that later on. There's an anomaly there is some paradox there, and Patanjali will explore that. 49. Such state of prajna, or higher and deeper knowingness, is based upon one's direct and personal experience, leading to self-realization and righteous action. It differs from the knowledge gained from others or through some assumptions. This is what we were discussing. It is based on your own personal experience. I can pray for you, but I cannot meditate for you. You have to meditate by yourself. You have to practice yoga by yourself. People can pray for you, but meditation is something that must be done personally. Yogic discipline, you must do it by yourself. You must follow it by yourself. Nobody else can do it for you. You cannot pay someone to do it for you. You can pay a priest to pray for you, but you cannot pay a priest to meditate for you. You'll have to do it by yourself. Here he is very clear, it is not based from knowledge gained from others, also not from assumptions. We assume things. We have heard something and then we assume this will happen like this will happen like this. not based on any of those things. Verse 50. Indeed, samskara or impressions arising from this state of pragyan, whatever, or true knowingness, hinders all other impressions, thus leading one to attain perfection in samadhi or the perfect enlightenment. If you have a knowledge, you can still be tempted by the outside factors. If you just have a knowledge, it's easy to tempt us if we have just knowledge from others. But if you have knowingness, you have based on your own personal experience, then nobody can do anything to you because it is your own personal experience. You will stand by your own personal experience. As simple as that. 51. Having eliminated all such samskars or impressions, all other hurdles are eliminated and one attains to the state of nirbija samadhi, the seedless, conditionless, perfect enlightenment. Having eliminated all such samskars, impressions. Even right now, if we are not interacting, if I am just silent and you are silent, there are already impressions registered upon your brain, in your mind. Just by looking at me or me looking at you, there are impressions registered in my mind, there are impressions registered in your mind. And these impressions also creating inflictions, klesha. Patanjali has already discussed that and will be discussing in the next chapter again. If you see something that you like, then there is an impression. This is to my liking. And tomorrow you see something that is not same as the one you saw to your liking, you will immediately be affected. This is not good. So as long as these impressions are there, we will be creating problems for ourselves. That impression, such impression, should be eliminated too. Thus we end the first chapter.